What's going on YouTube? Serge J back here with another video. Do have a car part that we'll be going over today. Something that I've been putting off for a while, so let's get right to it. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, the previous video that you just saw was actually shot a few weeks ago when I had first got the part that I'll be talking about here shortly. I shot the whole video. I just didn't like the way it turned out, so I'm actually just redoing it now. But I finally did go ahead and I got around to picking up an IAG air oil separator for the WRX. I had been asked by a few of you in the comments if I have one of these installed. Previously, I did not. I just didn't see for the longest time any need to it because it didn't give me any performance gains. So I chose against it. Now, obviously, for the plans that I do have with this car, I finally go ahead and I went and got one. I got it installed. As I mentioned, that previous video was a few weeks ago. So I actually got that AOS installed probably like 2 days after I shot that very first part. So the install, I can tell you on the IAG AOS, I have the Street Series. I didn't get the Comp Series because I don't have enough horsepower. Plus, I don't want to get retuned just for an AOS. But the install itself did take the predicted time that most people say it takes, which is the 7 to 8 hours. It's not necessarily taking apart everything. That's the hard part. It's just mainly, in my opinion, was putting everything back together. And certain things in the installation that IAG didn't mention that was in my car, which I will show you at the end of this what I'm referring to. I have a 2019 WRX, and the install instructions do range from 2015 to 2017, and then it goes up from 2018 to 2020. And there's a few differences. Obviously you don't have to mount the AOS. You don't have to mount the AOS the same way with the 2018 Plus as you do with the older ones. So that's a difference. With mine specifically, and I didn't see anything in the instructions about this, so that's why I'll show you so that if you're watching this and you're installing an AOS in a 2019 or above, again, I can't say anything for any older ones or any other cars. I don't know if it's just one-off. I don't think mine would be a one-off though, just for a part like this. But I mention it because it's actually one of the very first steps after removing a lot of the stock parts that IAG has you do. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you that because that did take a little bit of time for us to actually remove it and figure out how we were going to work with it. So I mean, it's a big difference. So that's why I'll include that in there. Overall, though, the install was not bad. Time consuming, yes, but not bad, just because, again, taking everything off was easy. Routing all the lines to the AOS, fairly straightforward. The instructions do go over that for the most part really good. And I mean, it's not hard. Again, as they do suggest, clamp off your coolant lines. That, of course, depends. You do have to clamp off more coolant lines if you still have the EGR. My car did not have the EGR. We deleted that prior to my Pro Tune. So the line that you'll be clamping off, normally if you don't have the EGR, is the one that runs to the turbo inlet. That again, you clamp that off. If you clamp it off and you don't lose a lot of coolant, you don't need to burp the system. In my case, just out of not laziness, but just actually not realizing that we hadn't installed the other line, we unclamped it. Coolant did come out of the turbo, so I had to burp the system. Burping is not too hard. It's just an inconvenient step that you have to do if you lose coolant. Again, just so that your car doesn't overheat and you don't introduce air into the coolant system. But other than that, it wasn't too bad. I got the black version of the AOS. They didn't have the red one at the time that I ordered my AOS, but it looks pretty nice. I have the World Rally Blue WRX anyway, so in my opinion, it actually fits in more with the engine bay. I don't really have anything in the engine bay that's red, anyways. So it works out for the color scheme. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll get to me showing you what differences are, and I'll also show you how the install came out and how it looks, and just a few suggestions, as far as tips of what I can see and things like that. Again, not necessarily a hard install, so I mean it's not bad at all. But let's go ahead and let's get to that part. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I was talking about with the AOS install. Handheld video, so it might not be the smoothest. Let me see what it looks like. All right. Hood props didn't want to work. Okay, so the part I was talking about is the very first part of the install. Alright, so yeah, that piece right here, just let me get my hand in there. Right here, I don't know how well that'll focus in. It's plastic. This piece right here is all plastic. Right in here. This piece right here. All plastic. The actual instructions didn't say that it was plastic. So yeah, that right there took a little bit of time to put back in. I can tell you we actually had to reuse this hose. As you can tell, that hose looks the same. What did it look like installed? It's pretty much what we got the AOS to look like. Ran the lines all through here, piping all the way down there. Everything's tucked in pretty good, so it looks good, looks decent. As you can see, I had to get the black one, so the logo kind of blends in. But yeah, that's pretty much the AOS install. And again, 2018s and above, 2019. Be sure to keep an eye on this part right there, because I mean, again, that's a little bit different than what they instruct you to do. That part right there, a little different than what I expected, because again, that plastic piece wasn't in the instructions. Now, I did quickly want to clarify on the previous video that you just saw there. So the plastic piece that I'm referring to as far as the differences is that the IAG instructions pretty much say that it's actually a metal piece that's already coming up from the block that you just pull the hose off of. Now that plastic piece looks to be kind of a little bit different than what they were showing. So it kind of threw us off a little bit, because the way that they make it seems like it comes off very easy. I watched several YouTube videos from like 25 to like 2015s to like 2017s that showed a little bit of a different method. It just seemed like you pretty much you pull the hose. There's a clamp on it that you squeeze and you're able to pull up the hose. Now that's not how it worked with this one. This one, we did have to pretty much do a little bit different install, or removal, should I say. So that's why I did want to touch on that a little bit, because it is different. So I mean, for just a suggestion, WD-40, just spraying it on the hose pretty much just causes it to be able to pull off easily. So just a suggestion on my part, just because again, that was the only difference that I noticed from the instructions that were supposedly made for anything from 2015 to 2020s, but that it wasn't included. So I do have a few videos coming up. I do have a review pretty much on my year with the E85 Pro Tune. So if you're interested in seeing that, go ahead and stay tuned. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. But until then, it's your boy Sergi J checking out.